My husband left me to take care of my comatose mill and married the boss's daughter. The result. Chapter 1. The Beginning. I always believed in fairy tales. When I married John, I thought I had found my prince. We had a modest but happy life together in our small town. John was ambitious and dedicated to his career, while I found fulfillment in managing our home and caring for his mother, who had fallen into a coma a year after our wedding. John's mother, Helen, had always been kind to me. When she slipped into a coma, it was devastating. The doctors said her chances of waking up were slim, but I couldn't abandon her. I took on the role of her primary caregiver, hoping my dedication would eventually bring her back to us. John seemed supportive, but his frequent absences at work meant I was often alone in this task. Chapter 2. The Shift. John's career took off when he landed a job at a prestigious company. He spent long hours at work, leaving me alone with Helen. I didn't mind at first. I was proud of him and believed that his hard work would pay off for us. But as time went on, he became more distant. His calls were brief, and his visits home were infrequent. I started to feel the weight of the responsibilities, but I convinced myself that things would get better. Then came the promotion. John was now the right-hand man to the CEO. I noticed a change in him. He became more polished, more focused on his image, and less interested in our home life. He started talking about his boss's daughter, Claire, a beautiful and wealthy woman who was often seen at company events. He spoke of her with an admiration that made my heart ache. Chapter 3. The Betrayal. One evening, John came home with a look I'd never seen before. He seemed nervous and hesitant. "We need to talk," he said, avoiding eye contact. My heart sank as he revealed the truth. John had fallen in love with Claire. He had been seeing her for months and wanted a divorce. "Claire can give me opportunities and a lifestyle I could never have with you," he said coldly. "You'll stay here and take care of my mother. She needs you." I was shattered. The man I loved was abandoning me for a life of luxury, leaving me with the heavy burden of caring for his comatose mother alone. I had no job, no savings, and nowhere to go. The divorce was swift and ruthless. John moved out, leaving me with Helen and a small monthly allowance that barely covered our expenses. Chapter 4. The Struggle. Life became a series of challenges. Caring for Helen was demanding and isolating. I had to find ways to support us, so I took up freelance writing and sewing, anything that allowed me to stay home and keep an eye on her. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. John and Claire got married in a lavish ceremony that was all over the news. I tried not to look, but curiosity got the best of me. They seemed happy, living the life John had always dreamed of. One evening, as I sat by Helen's bedside, I felt a hand squeeze mine. Helen's eyes fluttered open. I couldn't believe it. She had woken up. The doctors were astonished, calling it a miracle. Helen's recovery was slow, but she was determined. We formed an unbreakable bond during her rehabilitation. She became more than just my mother-in-law. She was my confidant and my family. Chapter 5. The Turnaround. Helen's recovery brought new hope. With her encouragement, I started a small business making handmade crafts. It took off, and soon I was able to hire help. Helen and I moved into a cozy house with a beautiful garden where we spent our evenings talking and laughing. John's perfect life started to crumble. Claire was demanding and controlling. Their relationship was strained, and John began to miss the simplicity and genuine love we once shared. He tried to contact me, but I was no longer the broken woman he had left behind. Years passed, and I built a successful business. Helen and I thrived, surrounded by friends and a community that supported us. One day, I received a letter from John. He had divorced Claire and wanted to reconcile. He apologized for everything, admitting his mistakes and asking for another chance. I met him at a cafe, not out of hope for reconciliation, but for closure. Seeing him, I realized how much I had grown. I thanked him for the lessons learned and wished him well, but my path no longer included him. My heart had healed, and I had built a life of strength and independence. Chapter 6. Rebuilding. With Helen by my side, I found the strength to rebuild my life. My small business flourished, and I expanded into a brick-and-mortar store, selling handmade crafts and offering workshops. The support from the community was overwhelming, and I soon became known for my resilience and creativity. Helen, too, thrived. She regained much of her strength and became an active part of the community, volunteering and sharing her story of recovery. Together, we were an unstoppable force, drawing strength from each other. John, on the other hand, struggled. His divorce from Claire left him financially strained and emotionally broken. He tried to reconnect with his old life, but the bridges had been burned. He found himself alone, reflecting on the choices he had made. Chapter 7. A New Love. As the years passed, I found myself content, but not complacent. I met Mark, a kind-hearted man who appreciated me for who I was and not what I could provide. Our relationship blossomed slowly, built on mutual respect and shared values. Mark understood my past and admired my strength. He became a loving presence in my life, supporting my dreams and ambitions. Together, we created a partnership based on trust and genuine affection. Helen, ever the wise and caring figure, approved wholeheartedly. She saw the happiness Mark brought into my life and welcomed him as family. Our little home was filled with laughter and love, a stark contrast to the emptiness I once felt. Chapter 8. The Confrontation. One day, as I was working in my shop, John walked in. He looked worn and tired, a shadow of the man he once was. "Can we talk?" he asked, his voice barely a whisper. We sat down, and he poured out his heart. He apologized again, not just for leaving me, but for the pain he caused. He admitted that his pursuit of wealth and status had left him empty and alone. He had lost everything that truly mattered. I listened, feeling a mix of compassion and closure. "John," I said softly, "I forgave you a long time ago. I had to move forward. I hope you can find peace and rebuild your life." Our conversation was a turning point. John left, and I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I had moved on, and my future was filled with promise and joy. Chapter 9. A Flourishing Future. With Mark and Helen by my side, life was beautiful. My business continued to grow, and we expanded into new areas, including a cafe that became a local favorite. Helen took on a mentorship role, guiding young entrepreneurs and sharing her wisdom. Mark and I traveled, exploring the world and creating memories. Our love was a testament to the power of second chances and the beauty of finding love after loss. We were surrounded by friends and family, our lives enriched by the connections we had made. Chapter 10. Reflections. As I sit in the garden with Helen, watching the sunset, I reflect on my journey. The scars of the past are still there, but they are reminders of my resilience. My story is not one of defeat, but of triumph. I found my fairy tale, not in a prince, but in my own strength and the love of those who stood by me. John's betrayal was a catalyst for my transformation. I found strength I never knew I had and created a life filled with love and purpose. Helen and I continued to support each other, cherishing the bond that had grown between us. In the end, the life I built for myself was more fulfilling than any fairy tale. I learned that true happiness comes from within, and that sometimes the most painful experiences lead to the most beautiful transformations. Epilogue. The garden is in full bloom, a riot of colors and fragrances that delight the senses. Helen sits beside me, her eyes twinkling with joy. Mark joins us, holding a tray of freshly baked cookies. We share stories, laugh, and savor the simple pleasures of life. My journey was not easy, but it was worth every step. I found love, purpose, and a sense of fulfillment that I never thought possible. My story is a testament to the power of resilience and the beauty of second chances. As I look around at the life I have built, I am filled with gratitude. I am no longer defined by the past, but by the strength and love that have carried me through. This is my fairy tale, and it is more beautiful than I ever imagined. My husband left me to take care of my comatose mill and married the boss's daughter. The result. A woman's life is turned upside down when her husband abandons her for a life of luxury, leaving her to care for his comatose mother. As she navigates the challenges of being a caregiver and rebuilding her life from scratch, she discovers inner strength and resilience she never knew she had. With the miraculous recovery of her mother-in-law, Helen, the two women form an unbreakable bond and support each other through thick and thin. Despite her husband's betrayal, the protagonist embarks on a journey of self-discovery, turning her passion into a thriving business and finding new love with a kind-hearted man named Mark. Through trials and tribulations, she transforms from a broken woman into a symbol of strength and independence. This heartwarming story showcases the power of resilience, the importance of self-worth, and the beauty of finding happiness and love after loss. My husband left me to take care of my comatose mill and married the boss's daughter. The result is a testament to the enduring spirit of a woman who, despite being abandoned,